It's getting hot in here, boy. We've got some huge subjects to talk about. Of course, recapping last week's game. And wow, boy, who knew in this case here he could do so much with a football? Anyways, man, what you got to say to the people?
Oh boy, what's up, good people? Did you enjoy those games? I know one of them was a fantastic game, but we're gonna talk about a whole bunch of other stuff today on this broadcast.
All right, let's do it. So we're now starting. We have our two teams for the Super Bowl: New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. We're obviously representing the AFC and the NFC respectively. And we're gonna go back last week, go back in time, and go back to Sunday. We spent the day watching these games together. As I said before, we seem to have a good mojo when it comes to watching these games because it seems like we always get some instant classic games, man. So
True. It was worth the drive to Ajax.
What? I mean, one time I went out to Oakville for that Atlanta San Fran, which is still a fantastic game.
And and also the Cardinal Pittsburgh game.
The Super Bowl. Yeah, we've had
all
some good
dance,
ones,
but that's a whole nother segment in itself.
Yeah, but boy, Seahawks come back with the miracle victory as a Seahawks fan.
Wow.
I mean, you were writing up the obituary with 5 minutes left. You had all the narrative.
Yeah, man, after that interception, man, I said, "Yo, okay, game over, man."
Yeah, you were talking about who they about to get rid of, who's gonna get paid, who ain't gonna get paid, and all of a sudden, boy, it's like a few breaks here, a few breaks there. Let's start back. Let's unpack this a little bit, man. Let's go back to the beginning. As my mind, I think the tone was set in the first quarter. I mean, I'm sitting here, we're watching the game. It's 6-0, and I'm tweeting. I think you hadn't come yet.
I haven't come yet, but I'm listening to the game.
Right, and I tweeted out at the time. It's like, I think I tweeted out at the time. It's like, I feel like I got away with murder. It is 6-0.
Definitely did.
Even coming out at 13-0 after the first quarter, I still felt like, okay, it couldn't get much worse, and I'm only down 13-0. I thought McCarthy's whole mindset was just brutal.
Not aggressive at all, man. Not aggressive at all. I mean, honestly, that you guys should have been up 21.
Yeah, Green Bay, yeah, they should.
Yeah, man, because I'm sorry, you're at the goal. You're at first and goal, second and goal.
Well, my mindset is
two consecutive occasions.
Right. If you have arguably the best quarterback in the league, how are not one of those 2 times you're not going for on fourth down?
Or no disrespect, but you still got Eddie Lacy back there too.
Yeah. What's what I'm saying? Like, you gotta take your shots, man. You're on the road with an 8-point dog, and you're kicking field goals. That's like 1975 mentality.
I mean, I'm sorry, because even with that, Aaron Rodgers, because he has this passive aggressive thing, and him and the coach don't get along too tough. Yeah. Don't let it be fooled, folks. It's very well known that Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy don't get along very well. And the comments that he was saying at the end of the game.
Yeah, he was throwing some shade, boy. Yeah, and he's not a guy that's got filter, too. But he's sour. He's into,
Yeah,
he's playing corporate.
That's right. And let's also put it this way. Are we also seeing a form of a Peyton Manning in this dude? Just saying.
I think it's the opposite to some extent. Like, I don't see him as like I don't see him.
He's a great regular season quarterback.
Oh, you mean from that standpoint? Oh, yeah. I mean, I question the Rodgers mystique and myth.
Yeah,
that's
man.
Been created by Fox and everybody else.
Yeah,
a little bit. Like, I don't get me wrong. He's a talented dude. Like, obviously, he's putting up numbers galore. He's obviously gonna be a Hall of Famer.
Fantasy team. I'll tell you that. I can attest.
But like, I question sometimes his fortitude in tight situations, man. And like let's put it this way: if this game was reversed, right? Could you actually see Rodgers pulling that game out?
No. Because I've seen the book before.
Right, and then to that point, he's very much like Manning.
Yeah,
I mentioned that just last week with Manning. If a game is ugly and things aren't going right, Manning's going home.
You can't have perfect conditions in every game. That's why you got to come up and know how to overcome. And again, not taking away from the talent that he is. Like, obviously, he's a bad man quarterback, but when the conditions aren't right, it's the same thing. It's
Yeah, yeah.
like news gets a lot looser on him. Jordy Nelson was starting to call the 2007 Super Bowl again.
Look.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Let's take this guy as a top receiver. Let's just take him off the list, okay?
Let's
the first thing. Let's end that discussion.
Yeah, man, because when it comes down to money time, crunch time.
Yeah. And I found Rodgers was kind of icing that dude out.
Yeah, man, he phased him out.
He didn't want to look at him. He's like, well, where's Cobb?
I think a couple times he messed up on he dropped ball, or he didn't get the spot.
A third down pass out in the flank or something where he turned around too quickly.
In the ball. Yeah, man.
You know, like,
and you see Rodgers' face looking at him like, dude, you ain't getting the ball no more.
Yeah. Yeah, Cobb is definitely the number one receiver now on that team. There's not even a doubt. I wouldn't be surprised if Nelson within a year get surpassed by the rookie there.
By Davante Adams?
Adams.
Yeah, well, Adams is a nice player, man.
Yeah, but Adams getting locked down by Sherman. They pretty much kept him over there, so that's why you didn't even hear his name for the whole game.
Yeah, but you know what? The other thing that got me about this whole entire game, though, is that with Sherman being hurt, had the one wing clip, they didn't go after him.
Yeah, I found that very interesting too.
Like, I'm thinking somebody in the coaching staff has to be calling.
But that's playing into what we were talking about before, right? Like, I mean, this whole fear. Don't forget the first game, the opening season. I mean, the opening game. They ain't right. Remember the big thing coming out of that game after they got beat was they didn't even throw on his side,
which didn't make no sense.
Right.
To me.
This is the mentality now. You tried throwing in the first thing, you got picked off, and then you got scared after that. But my whole thing is, well, fair enough. I mean, you got to take your chances. A great player is going to make a great play once in a while, but you got a great player too. You got to think that he can do. He can get his moments and get his licks in too.
Right.
I just think that McCarthy's mindset came in so conservative. You could pick all these spots throughout the game, as you mentioned before. Look at that attack Sherman with one arm. They didn't bother doing it. The one that in this case I heard on the BS report today, and it's so true. I was thinking about myself. When Wilson got picked in the fourth quarter, it looked like the game was done.
The guy, they talk about how Burnett didn't do the thing.
Yeah, just goes down on a knee like he's in college. Like, what the heck
you know
is that?
what? I hear you, but you know what though? In the flow of the game, here's the thing. Okay, let's be real.
Have you ever seen that in this case when a DB gets a pick?
I know. With 4 minutes left in the game, you're trying to get yards.
You're trying to get yards. You're trying to look for the touchdown.
Yeah, trying to do a touchdown.
And there's bare space around it. There was like almost no Seahawk around it for like 10 yards.
I hear you, but you know what it was though? I think it was the confidence that they felt because the defense was playing such a good game. They felt the defense was playing good up to that point. They felt that the game was in hand. Like, I mean,
but that's my point. You're playing safe all the time. I was like, I'll run it and take a knee because I don't want to fumble the ball. I want to turn it over, so I'll just take a knee. Dude, I
hear what you're saying. No, I totally get what you're saying.
You play balls out, man. You won't sit around there sitting there.
Don't take things for granted, man. If there's what she needs to do, because this is your last game. This isn't a regular season game. Like, you go all out.
Hey, okay. Now, I picked on Green Bay. I'll get back to picking on Green Bay some. But, okay, let's just go. Yeah, let's go with my team in this case here. Pete Carroll, boy, he got away with one. Because I don't understand how this dude was running the pistol offense throughout the whole game. Dude runs it for the last 2 series, and guess what happened? They scored a touchdown.
They forgot they had Marshawn Lynch behind him.
Yeah. They forgot that Russell Wilson runs. Like, what? These are weapons that you're just taking out of your holster. I don't get this.
Okay, I want to say this here, and I think Primetime said it the night of. If Russell Wilson is going to get his money, all right, justifiably so, and that's fine. But all year long, we have been hearing about every situation that's been going with Marshawn Lynch. Mm-hmm. His unhappiness with his contract. Mm-hmm. Now, who is the lifeline of that offense? Mm-hmm. Who makes that offense go? It's not Russell Wilson, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. Like, sure, he might be a dynamic part of it, but the engine that makes that car run is Mr. Marshawn Lynch. Mm-hmm. You may not like him. You might not like the fact he don't talk to the media. He holds his junk when he goes in the end zone, which I find hilarious. However, he earns his pay. Yeah. And I mean, Russell Wilson right now, every dollar that he signs, he ought to be thanking and kissing Mr. Lynch.
True, I hear you. I think Lynch should get his money. I think Lynch will get his money. I would just say,
money.
I will only say one thing to rebut this a little bit. I'm not saying it's like an either or situation, but let's be honest in this case. Lynch had great years, but he didn't win squat without the quarterback. So to be fair,
not disputing that. Not disputing that.
So I'm not saying, so it's not, as I said before, it's not either or. Both that you get paid. I'm hoping that money saved from Percy Harvin could go to one, the Lynch, I would assume in this case.
I hope so,
because it doesn't save enough money on them receivers. Might as well pay somebody the money.
Father.
But the philosophy, I mean, but then for McCarthy, just going back to Green Bay, Here's the boneheaded plays just in sequence. We already talked about the pick. Then let's go back to the fake kick. I don't know how you won't have that covered. I'm thinking in my head like, yo, you gotta be trying to fake kick because you were saying we were sitting down there going like, boy, you're saying, boy, B, I don't know if three's gonna be enough right now. You looking for touchdowns? I said I kind of agree with you. I was thinking about going for it on fourth down. So if that's going through our head and we're sitting on the couch, how are you not at least preparing for a fake kick? Like, and especially with the weather, as my wife was looking at her seeing like 3-4 seasons in one game, so the weather wasn't great. And you're sitting there going like, oh, I'm just gonna play this straight up, like this brutal preparation.
I was stunned. We were stunned by it because I'm thinking we started talking like I'm thinking, nah, man, you gotta listen. Desperate, you gotta be desperate at this particular time to get points. And I mean, sure, 3 points for a psychological, but nah, you gotta go for a TD.
Oh
and
my gosh!
Like, then to think that the coverage, it wasn't even a good coverage on the field.
Oh man, it's brutal. It was brutal. You got AJ Hawk in no man's land. I
mean,
mean,
typical AJ Hawk.
Well, fair enough, but that was the fact. But now let's go to the next point. Now, okay, so they scored a touchdown. They go now. They're down by 1. They they go for 2 in this case. They're down by they're tied at that point. They're tied.
Well, they were up by they were down
by 1. They're up by 1.
Up by 1. Correct.
Up by 1. They go for the 2-point conversion.
Oh,
now, listen. Homeboy played a fantastic game, so it's hard to really jump on him.
Whatever his name is.
Like, I don't know what he was thinking.
Why didn't you plow the dude? You should have plowed him.
Plowed him and take another shot at the end zone.
Or
try to back down the ball.
Yeah, man.
The tackling was brutal. Like, I don't know what he was thinking on that play because you can see him looking. He's trying to make a move for the ball, and then he thinks like, "Oh shoot, I'm not gonna get the ball." So he gets panicky and sees he can try to stop Wilson. At that point, he has no angle on Wilson, and his brute strength, he just walks in the end zone. Like, oh my gosh, that was so brutal.
You know what? I'm still bothered by the 2-point conversion. I'm still bothered with the 2-point that got thrown in the air. Is that the same play we're talking about?
Yeah, same way.
Well, it was Dixon that got it. Wilson beat Dixon for that touchdown.
Yeah, but Dixon. If you watch the replay, Dixon looks like he wants to make a play on the ball and realizes like in the last second, I'm not gonna get the pick, and then he's scrambling. He's out of position now to try to get Wilson. That's what happened in my mind.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I think he was smelling pay dirt, and all of a sudden he realized, oh damn, I can't get to that ball.
All I know is that again, I always go back to my Hall of Famers when it comes to certain particular things, which includes the guys from the NFL Network. Deion Sanders said, "Listen, I didn't get mad too much about the touchdown being scored. I didn't get too upset about that. But that play, he goes, as a DB, he goes, that made me mad. He goes, that made me come and say, you know what? I hope Seattle wins just because of that fact because." That was bad. And this guy played a great game. Think about that.
Fantastic. He's arguably the best Packer on the field. And this was the last point, you gotta give Wilson his due, man. Like, I mean, he had one of the worst games you could possibly have as a quarterback.
You should never win that game.
And the fact that he kept at it, and the 2 throws he threw in overtime were ridiculous in that weather. The ball went past in the curse one. It was right on the money, in stride.
I hear you, but B, let's be very honest with you. We watched that game, and listen, they were like, I mean, maybe it might have been the time difference in terms of them starting to
wake up to the middle of the second quarter.
You know what I mean? But I'm going to say this. He was throwing into the middle of the field, which he never, ever did all season long. But this time, every time he threw the ball in the middle of the field.
Well, that's not true. He threw the middle of the field. I mean, just last week against... Just last week, Carolina threw like 2 touchdowns. I think the Wilson on the seam patterns. What are you talking about?
No, seam patterns, yes, but it was based on one-on-one coverage. The fact about it is that listen, obviously his luck was running out a little bit because, he's been kind of a little fluky a little bit. Let's be real in terms of some of the throws. Like, I mean, he's good. I ain't saying he sucks. I'm just saying that he was due, but to throw 4 picks.
Well, first thing, I put 2 on the receivers because, I mean, they bounced right into the guy's hands and then popped out. Like, you got to catch those.
Yeah, for sure.
So the 2 on Curse or whatever, 1 on Baldwin, 1 on Curse, they got to catch those.
Curse and Baldwin, man, I'm sorry, man. Them guys don't, I'm sorry, they don't fight for balls the way that they should.
No. The double coverage one seemed to be something that got messed up from what Carroll said, so that's on him, though. And the one in the end zone was the worst of the 4.
Yeah,
that one, I don't know what you tried to do with that one. But the other 2, I mean, the ball. I think the 4th one was literally right between the 1 and the 5 on Curse. So you got to catch that.
You got to catch that.
You got to catch. The other one was like just above his head. It tips off, and you got to catch those balls. So
what gets me a little bit is that look, if you're not gonna get the ball, at least make a play so that the DB doesn't get the ball.
Right. Yeah. For real. But let's quickly talk about Colts, New England. I'm going to talk
Have to
about.
talk about it? Do we have to talk about that?
Give it 1 minute, and then we'll get to really what we want to talk about. Okay, so 45-7. It was pretty much done. You could feel it coming from the middle of the first quarter. We barely even watched the game.
No, I know. I didn't.
I didn't even wait for it to finish. We thought this game was going to be a rout from day one. It ended up being a rout. The weather was bad. It didn't even help the Colts, which still have dome tendencies, even though they still play a dome, right? That new stadium's kind of, yeah. So, I mean, like, I don't know what else to say. I mean, it is what it is. The Colts just weren't ready for prime time.
But you know what, though? To be very honest with you, sometimes it's like every sport seems to have it, whereas that one...
The matchup.
There's just a matchup no matter what. It's a psychological thing no matter what happens. And remember, Manning was 1-3 against the Pats anyway, too. So it wasn't like he was kicking the Pats behind when he was playing. So, but the thing about it is, Andrew Luck, I respect... But dude, you need to talk to your general manager and tell them, listen, get me a running game, get me some linemen, and help me get another wide receiver because Reggie Wayne is done.
Yep.
Hakeem Nicks.
Oh, that didn't turn out the way they thought.
You know what I mean? Like Hakeem Nicks, see you later. Trent Richardson. Wow. What the heck? What the heck? But to get him some linemen, get him some help. The defense needs work. He covered a lot of awards for that team. But I'm being honest with you. Yeah, man. As much as I like Luck, woo.
Well, I'll just say this. Floyd, great season. That's my cousin and Fabian. Yes, we send you the peace and rest in peace. But it's hard to win when you have to go against deflated balls. That leads us into our next topic.
Well, the balls will get you all the time.
Oh boy! So let's get to the real fun. Okay. Deflategate, you knew this was coming. By now, I think
3 hours after the game was done, the reports started coming out.
Unbelievable!
3 hours.
You know what? This comes down to a coach that, in this case, is unhinged, that has no respect for anybody. Thinks he's the smartest man that's walking the planet, and no one can tell him anything. And I want to hear folks in this case here. We were talking about this before the show started. I don't hear folks say, well, everyone does it. And you're starting to see all these articles coming out because this is all the NFL's little, guys they have pretty much in their pocket for the press media, putting out all these stories. All of a sudden, these stories come out of the blue. Like the dude for Tampa, in this case, had that story sitting in his back pocket.
$7,500 guy.
Sitting in his back pocket. Whipped that sucker out today. Like, hey, Brad Johnson. It's like,
and everybody's like, say, Brad Johnson.
Right. Whatever the case may be, there's a pattern with this dude. That's all it comes down to. This dude pushes the limits. I heard someone mention today, I think he was watching Chris Hayes made a great point, I think, on MSNBC. He mentioned a great point how it's like, considering if you had to go and put it in a political sense, he's like Richard Nixon.
Straightforward guy.
You know what? It's a fantastic analogy.
I'm not a crook.
Not a crook. A talented dude.
Yeah, man.
But just kept pushing he goes, just kept pushing boundaries where there wasn't you really need deflated balls to beat the Colts. They really.
You know what? The thing about it is, listen, I don't mind a little greasiness every now and then, but you got to know when to be greasy in the right moments in time, man.
You know what?
Like do it in gloating or something, but when, as you just said, there is no need for all that. But the thing about it is common practice in the league. Not trying to say it's excused, because the whole bunch of talk today that you've been hearing is Aaron Rodgers says that he likes his balls bigger than 14 pounds, bigger than the standard. Some other guys have been saying they've been doing it for years.
Well, true, fair enough. I hear you, but here's the point that someone made. I can't remember who it was, but one of the journalists made today, I was listening to, made a great point. At halftime, the referees checked those balls after the boy picked the ball off of Brady, and they actually went back and they put those balls back at what the required weight was supposed to be.
Right.
Now, the question is, when the third and fourth quarter we're watching that,
what's going on?
Are those balls still at the same weight they were when they left at halftime? That's the question I want to know.
Well, here's the thing too, because Tom Brady is not going to be walking away clean out of this either. Because right now, I just read some real good stuff.
Right.
He's already been talked about in regards about the issue with the balls. And I think in 2011. He made some statements about that kind of stuff. He likes his balls a certain way and all that kind of stuff. But then a couple of days ago, he's like, "Oh, this is ridiculous." I don't know what.
Laughing it off and stuff like that.
You know what I mean? So,
but
I think Chris Canty from the Ravens said something that was really good. He goes, "These guys are habitual line steppers."
Yeah, That's the point. That's the point I'm making. That these guys have no respect for any sort of authority. And the fact in this case that Kraft's buddies with Goodell, they feel they get a pass. And you got fined a few draft picks. You're New England. You're drafting the last 5 picks almost every year. What do you do if you lose a few draft picks for New England? You know, sort of Spygate. Then a couple weeks ago, fine. We talked about with Baltimore. And the point I was making then was, you don't have to do it. The spirit of the law. Yeah, this thing's probably been around for ages, but he would be the one coach that would go ahead and press that and push that. That's supposed to make you a Baltimore only a week earlier. It's not that it was illegal, but it's the mindset behind it in this case here.
It was all desperation. I'm just going to say this. I don't know, man. I think it really does. I think it tarnishes the legacy of this organization, man.
It does.
I mean, no matter what.
And folks were killing the Raiders for Stickum and late hits. And that stuck with the Raiders for 40-some-odd years.
The field, right. But this, but you know what? I even heard somebody say this today, too. Again, Chris Canty said a very interesting analogy. This is just as bad as a guy on PEDs.
I think in some ways it's even worse.
Yeah, I mean, because you're talking about the integrity of the field.
Right.
Like, this is an individual doing a thing. But in comparison, this is a team thing that you're trying to do the sum of the outcome.
Right.
Like, folks, let's not be ridiculous. We know the score, what the score was. Okay, that's not saying that came into play. But to have that particular cloud hanging over this organization, the way that it's been going on for years, it makes you tarnish their championships. Like, I know some people are going to come and say, oh, that has nothing to do with... No, it does.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, you got players... Like, I know for a fact, I know that the Steelers were not thrilled about losing to the guys. I know Baltimore has been hockey. Well, Baltimore complains about everything, but they've been just like crazy.
Hines Ward is letting anyone off the excuse. He pretty much said they're cheating.
Basically, man. Yeah. So the fact about it is that's what it is, man.
You know, you can say it all at once, and everyone does it, but it seems like always be one team seems to be always getting caught. And involved
That's like my New York Giants, yeah? That's why I like the New York Giants, because they whooped that team. I mean, they didn't whoop them, but they beat them up, and they stopped them from getting the championship, and they did it the legit way.
Go Seahawks.
That's what I'm saying. That's the only reason why I'm going to choose the Hawks in this game.
Go Seahawks, man. I think definitely, I mean, obviously they come with the black hat, and, like, I think, I said before, this is all part of the ethos, I should have said ethos, but just all part,
Big words.
No, I actually used the wrong word, actually.
I know, but I was like, trying to use it as a word that you couldn't do.
It's all about the pathos or mindset of Belichick. In this case, he has no respect. I mean, it even comes down to the press and the media. Like, how dare you ask me a question? It's all of that, too. Like, this all wraps into his whole...
Well, he's going to have to talk sooner or later.
His whole persona.
But you know what he's going to do? He's going to say, we're on to the game, and we're here for the Super Bowl.
Personally, I usually don't have any disdain for any coaches, really. Somebody I don't like because they're going as a team I don't care for. But personally, no. He's one of the few coaches ever I've watched I really have disdain for. I honestly do. Because I remember... Because here's the reason why. I can't remember if it was the Steelers or whoever he got beat by. Maybe it's the same Ravens. I don't know.
Probably the Colts. Was it probably the Colts?
Where this dude don't want to say nothing. He don't want to shake no hand.
I know. It was against Tony Dungy. And Tony... Yeah, man. Really. Yeah, man.
Tony Dungy. Like, really?
You didn't want to shake Tony Dungy's hand, guy.
The hell with you. Okay? Same thing goes with the young boy, Mangini. Like...
I know.
Think about that. Okay? Think about this. You're in the workforce, right? Yeah. And you left another company, in this case here, say you were the VP and the guy was the president. And you went off to go and become a president somewhere else. Right. You think you would be like, you know what? I mentored you. Hey, man. Good on you, man. Get your shot. This guy here beats the dude already, and then here's just getting up in the dude's face like he's vexed with the dude. Like, what are you vexed about?
Well, yeah, but there was a lot more. There was a lot more stuff that went on with that. Not saying that I agree with what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, but there was a lot of personal animus that happened between the two of them.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised. Personal animus with him and a lot of people. Like when it's all said and done, this dude is not working with a full debt. I'm sorry, he's not working with a full debt.
Well.
Okay, mark my words. I sit here today. Where are we? January 21st. There's gonna be a story's gonna come out about him. Maybe not today. Maybe not next week. But sometime in the future, there'll be some crazy story about him where you'll be like, "What the heck is this going on in this guy's head?" And you're gonna come back to this moment and say, "Like, okay, Brian, I'll tell you something. He's not all there. Sorry, he's not all there."
You know what? My thing is this. I think if Brady ever retires, I think he's retiring with him.
Probably.
Yeah, because I can't see Belichick not saying he can't coach, because remember the one year that Brady went down, they won 10 games, but they didn't make the playoffs that year. But I just don't see it. I just think that they're so interconnected.
For his sake, you better clean up his act, or he might get banned from football.
You think he cares?
Well, if he can't coach, because I'm thinking really, if this thing gets as deep as I think it can get, he gonna lose some games. Because right now,
you know what's gonna happen?
He's gonna lose games.
Okay, the punishment of what's gonna happen very simply with this league was because the NFL isn't such. This has been such a bad.
Exactly. That's why he's gonna lose.
It's so unbelievable. Okay, first of all, I still laugh at the fact that this came out 3 hours after the game was done. A few years ago, it probably maybe a week you might have heard this.
Right.
This was immediate. I watched it. I sat on Deadspin on my phone.
You know why? This is the reason why I went 3 hours after the game. Because some of the Colts in this case were whispering about that the game was done.
Oh, that's the thing. And the way that got on the field so quick to the officials.
Yes, that's the reason why. You talk about how teams in this case and players. That's the reason why the story came out so fast.
Yeah.
When they're doing the press conference in this case here, and they talked to the Indian. Don't forget, the Indianapolis Colt reporter broke it, right?
Right.
They said, and they're saying, listen, Dockage or whoever is like, this is what's going down. I checked that ball when I picked that ball off here. I said it was the referees. Referees checking at halftime. I don't know if that ball. And here's the thing: the Colts might have still felt the ball afterwards, maybe in some plays in this case, and say, you know what, that ball still feels like how it did in the first half.
Right.
So that's exactly where it came from. It came from the Colts. I got no doubt it came.
Well, I think it came from Quell Jackson, the linebacker who got the pick. Remember that off of Gronkowski?
Yeah.
Apparently, that's where the fuss started. He made the fuss on the sideline.
Right. But I'm talking about so the reporting in this case afterwards, I think a lot of the Colts were talking. Yeah. Now, I don't think this is done by any means or any stretch.
No, but I'm going to be honest with you, though. No punishment's going to happen during this game because you don't want 2 weeks of this. 2 weeks of this is the worst time right now.
Well, let the fun begin.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks. But they're going to do, if they're going to come down heavy on them, they're probably not going to come down heavy until after the games are done.
So Goodell starts the year off in this case where he has his second biggest exposure, which is the Hall of Fame game and the Hall of Fame game and the Hall of Fame inductees having to deal with Ray Rice. And now here he is at the Super Bowl now.
Way to have a good year, buddy.
Ending it off here in fine style. I want to see if he can get the stands now.
Yeah, but you know what? He's getting $40 million for his trouble. I take that in $40 million.
Well, it's up to you, man. You sell your soul on that one. That's on him.
I hear you, but he's getting $40 million. You think he's going to hear?
He's gonna feel the heat for 2 weeks, so I hope he enjoys that $40 million.
But the thing is, right now the league. I don't know, man. I love the NFL, but wow, what a year!
What a year, man. And on that note, we'll talk next week about our picks and why we feel in this case here. Why we think which team's gonna win. So, get ready for Super Bowl picks next weekend, folks.
Go Hawks! Can you believe that? I said that. Oh my goodness!
What you say?
I said, go Hawks. I can't believe that.
Come on board. We got plenty of room.
Oh, I ain't got nothing to do. Don't like cheaters.
The water is just fine. Come on.
Oh, boy. Sorry, I can't drink it. I ain't that crazy.
All right, man. Where can the good folks find you, man?
They can find me at Y Charlem.
All right, and you can find me at Beyond Locker Room, short form RM, folks. And anyhow, that's it before we catch you next week. Talk to you later.
Peace out, everybody.